What's up, guys? We're back to reality after Supercross this weekend. And I was just kind of taking inventory of everything that needs its oil change. This guy's just about due for the tranny oil. This guy, I think the oil might be all right from last season. I only rode it a couple times, but this bike runs 0 weight 5 or 0 weight 10. It's like basically water. I should at least take a look at it. The 110's never had its oil changed, so I feel like it's about time to do that. The Supermoto is high RPM constantly, and I couldn't even remotely remember the last time I changed the oil in that. We just did the Husky oil, so that one's good. Last time I took out the Trail 70, I actually blew it up, so I should probably drain the oil and get that motor out, because we actually have a vintage ride coming up in a little over a month. The Harley needs the oil topped off. The van desperately needs its oil change. I think it's like 2,000 miles overdue. And even my work truck parked around the corner needs its oil change. So, well, I didn't necessarily remember that I needed to change my oil, so I haven't been saving anything. So got some Sunny D and some Cran Grape. I usually have a bunch of different bottles and stuff, but my dog absolutely loves chewing on bottles, so he usually ends up taking hold of them, and they're useless once they have holes in them. So, but I do obviously have an oil drain pan too. It's just nice if I could bottle it up right away. And if you have a big diesel truck, or honestly any vehicle that takes a metric shitload of oil, you gotta get one of these guys. It's the best way to do it. I've had these on every one of my vehicles ever since I started driving, because my dad's been doing it since back in the day, like since before people sold them for vehicles. He would always, just get the thread pitch and whatnot. But this one's got a nice little lock. Only thing I gotta say about these things though is if you have a stock height vehicle, I'd be weary about it. As you can see, this oil pan's dented back when this van was low. I, or probably the previous owner, had hit it on something. My dually is stock height. I did not put one on the dually because that pan also had a dent in it. And I know of one of my buddies who put one of these valves on a stock height 7.3 Super Duty, and he hit something and it ripped it out. Luckily for the 6.0s and 7.3s, once they lose oil, the injectors don't fire and they just shut the truck down. But some of these trucks will just blow themselves up. So, anywho, it'd be really nice if I had two hands. Look at how nice this is. Look, this thing even's like lock. I even have that plastic lock off. It has to get pushed out and down. But we line her up, open her up. Black gold. Can I? And then the wind's gonna blow and totally screw my life up, but for now it'll be cool. So we'll get this all drained. I'll at least fill these two and then put the rest in a pan. This thing gets close, all you gotta do, shut it off. That one's good, cap it up. Move on to the next one. If you have enough jugs, this makes like changing oil extremely easy. Especially for 6.0s if you're running the stock oil filter. This one is a little different on the van. That's your oil filter. But if you guys know 6.0s, they just have the cartridge. This is still just the cartridge, but it still tends to be able to make a mess. You gotta undo that to drain it out. This truck 6.0s, as soon as you break the seal on the cap, it opens up a plunger to drain the oil. I mean, you can make a perfectly seamless, messless oil change on a 6.0 if you have one of these valves. So I'm a big advocate, but like I said, make sure you're at least lifted a little bit. Man, this thing is filthy. Yuck. Need one of these guys pretty soon, huh? I could just keep pretending I got a drive shaft. We'll do the full walk around on this guy soon, hopefully. You guys can understand why I don't have a drive shaft, but it is coming very soon, one of these days. Gotta make a cross member and stuff, but. So while the van finishes draining, I'm gonna run this guy. God, I got grease on there already, oil. Anyway, I'm gonna get this guy warmed up so I can drain the oil in this one. I'll probably do the Supermoto as well. But it seems kind of messed up to go for a ride and not take Bodhi. He gets a little upset. He took off on me. Training this guy. Good thing about these, there's no oil filter, so I don't gotta worry about that. There's like an oil screen you're supposed to clean, but no. And anywho, here's the stock drain plug. No crush washer or anything like that. But I have this from my old, oh, it's underneath the blanket, you can't see it. My KLX 110 build. I think I ended up putting a new one, I don't know why, but this one looks like, oh, well. Anyway, it's magnetic and it looks like the same thread pitch, so. And it has a crush washer that actually looks pretty good still. Aluminum crush. I think I have some coppers in here, but we'll see. We'll see. A couple of big pluses to the oil change on the van. As you can see with this oil cap, this is the van one. It's not like threads like on the truck. So all it has in there are like two little indent like nipples. You can see the back side of them here. So they have one top and bottom on each side. These funnels, I don't know, well, I know where I get them. I don't know where you can get them. I have a friend that helps me out and gives me these. You can cut them to size. So if you cut it right there-ish, it'll line up right with those nipples, and it like actually like fully locks in place because it'll grab on one of those ribs. It actually works really nice. And another thing, 6.0s take 15 quarts. That's almost 4 gallons, but since the van's oil filter's down at the bottom, there's longer oil lines, so I put 16 in it, and it's kind of perfect every time. There we go. This guy's all filled up with good old Dello. The van's all filled up, cleaned up. Get rid of this stuff. So I'm rolling on 0 sleep, but good news and bad news. Good news though, throttle tube for the gas finally came in. This one is the one with the bearing, so we'll get that thrown on today, right now. The new chain, same chain as we were putting on the bikes before, but I just needed another master link and a little bit longer of a chain. So that is in. We'll try and throw that on. Changed the oil yesterday, as you guys will have seen in the 110. And if you remember in the last video, I was all fired up that I finally charged the battery because I've been bump starting it for God knows how long. Because it's super cool to take the kickstand off and put the little billet cap on. We all did that and thought it was super cool. But yeah, after changing it, I let it idle just for a little bit. It came down just now. As you see, I left it on, so. Odds of me charging that again, slim. But for everyone that's ever asked me about my dyno, which is everyone in my personal life, this bike's been down for like over a year. I did change literally everything about the bike, but what's your bike need? We should go for a ride all summer. This is literally the one part that it's needed all summer. I finally bought it, so we will get on getting that together too. You can at least smack the brake pads in and the hardware and stuff. Throw this guy on. All I'm missing is the 1/4 to or 1/8 to -3 fitting. It's on the way. But throw this guy in. We still need to throw the tube in the front tire on the gas. So I'm kind of been slacking. So we'll throw the chain on, the tube on, brakes on, throttle tube. Got some stuff to do, so let's get after it. So I just wanted to show you guys this really quick. If you've never heard of or seen a bearing style throttle tube, I'm a big advocate for them. I really do like them. But now you don't have to pull this apart. I'm just pulling this apart to show you guys. But there's the bearing itself. And this little guy right here sits inside the tube up in there and pokes just barely through that bearing. Not even through it, it sits like in it. And then there's obviously the screw that holds it. There's a little Allen so you can hold it to break it down. But as you can see with these O-rings, and it comes with spare O-rings if you need thicker ones, depending on the gap of your bar in there. But this guy's perfect. But I don't want to shove it in there and get it stuck. But this guy will get slid all the way in, and then it actually is riding on that and not sitting on the bar. That bike has one. That bike never got around to getting one. I only really put like 1 or 2 sets of grips on that bike. That bike's only got 60 hours on it. But honestly, everything, I believe that bike has one. My last 450 had one. My CRF 250R before that had one. I'm a big fan. And I mean, if you guys know Tusk is a pretty cheap but good quality brand. So I don't know. I'm a fan, but I'm going to throw this thing back together and throw it on the bike. Okay, so something weird that I've never noticed with putting these on my other bikes, but if you take a half a second to think about it, it makes a bunch of sense. So obviously your new bar end is here, and there's about a 1/4 inch thick bearing inside of this. So obviously what makes it do the whole spin thing. So I just happened to notice it extremely easy on this setup because it used to touch here, or be extremely close to touching. You can see the old line. So then I just double check. I tape measured from the split of the triple clamp right here to the bar end. It's exactly a 1/4 inch longer on this side. So I'm probably not good enough to notice it. I'd like to say I would, but so yeah, we'll slide this guy back off and cut it. Best way to cut bars, I've cut a handful of them. Take a pipe cutter just to score it. Run this around a few times so you have a good line. Then you can take your grinder, your bandsaw, whatever you prefer, and cut it. And there we go. Just all slid back and literally lined up exactly where it was. So let's toss these grips on. You know, I'm gonna blame this one on the tube, but I pinched it. But this is like a super cheap, like the tube was super thin and I don't know, flimsy. I don't know, at least this one's nice and bulky. So go to Cycle Gear, get a heavy duty one tomorrow. I haven't pinched a tube in forever, so maybe it came popped. That's what I'm gonna say. It came popped. All right, after absolutely fighting for my life, finally got this guy on. It's extremely tight, but I have a feeling these cheap chains are gonna stretch really quick. So I'll probably have to check it like halfway through the next ride. But she's on, she's tight. She's on, she's tight. So now we're gonna put this guy back on. So I originally, this has a big rubber gasket to seal it off, keep it all contained, keep moisture out. But part of the slide for the adjustment, I mean, it's wide open in the back anyway, so what are we keeping water out of, really? It's almost better to have something open so it'll drain. So I originally, as you can see, the chain slapped so hard when it came loose, cracked all that. So my plan was to take some waterproof grease and just load it up in there and create a new seal. But after kind of noticing that, like honestly, what's the point? So what we're gonna do is not that. But I would like to, this isn't really exactly serviceable, but it would be nice to have it somewhat lubed. It does have like a semi-wax coating and it has the X-rings in there. But I'm thinking, so I have spray white lithium grease. This is kind of old. It does still somewhat work sometimes when it wants to. But I think I'm just gonna put a little bit of that, hit the chain really quick, kind of hit the sprockets, just to keep everything kind of sealed somewhat in here. Then we'll smack this guy back on there, tighten it up, and pretty much wait for the next snowstorm to come. If you're not using brand new microfibers, as grease rags. I'd love to sit here and, like, you know, call you poor. No, you probably just have your garage and your life more together than I do. I would love to have separate rags. I just don't. So it is what it is. And then, you know, when you go to polish something, you take the wax off your truck and you have acetone on one of these. Yep, been there. But all right, there she goes. Well, this escalated quickly. Honestly, the hardest part of all this, yeah, I had to tear it all the way back down. But getting these little rubber guys out of the old plastic is just not that fun. But anywho, this guy will look, whoa. How's this thing sit? There you go. But this will look a lot better. This stuff's like borderline stained. That is so much better looking. You can't even see that front plate. I probably could have got away without doing it, but it would bug me. Especially, God, at least it's all nice and black in there now. But from the back, this thing looks 10 times better. We just gotta figure out something with the plastic. I can't stand the black plastic because it's absolutely destroyed. So, I don't know. We're gonna do something. Probably end up going, if I can't get red, I'll probably end up going back to white and have to rip all that out again. So that's my life. But, oh, and I finally got my registration little sleeve. Cannot find my sticker to save my life. I feel like it's gotta be somewhere in the van. I'm gonna take it with me. That's stiff. A little dampener action. That'll be all right. Well, I'm probably gonna call it a night. And then, what's tonight? Tuesday? Tomorrow's school. I should plug this guy back in. Gotta change the oil on that one. Maybe I could change the oil on that really quick before school tomorrow. And then Thursday night will probably be that guy. I'm sure Friday will be something stupid. Dyna's finally getting some love. Got some stainless pipe here, threw a 90 in it. Now we're mocking it up. Gotta cut it down, flare it, set it up on this breather. Got the rear pads in, calipers all tight. Still waiting on the AN2 pipe fitting that's gonna go in here with that new chrome piece. Cole's killing it on
New tube swap.
Since I pinched the last one, we're
Brand
like,
new tube, no baby powder. Pinched it.
yeah, gotta run the baby powder. But we're actually getting some stuff done today. This is good. Well, Cole also pinched the tube, so there's 2 tubes down. That guy's still not fixed. And then I finally got this guy all dialed in. Kinked it a little bit because I had to get it so tight, but I totally screwed up and cut this thing like an 1/8 inch too short. But there's no wiggle room for any of this, especially if I flare it. It's gonna even push it back a little more. So yeah, and of course I don't have my pipe bender or anything with me. This is like just big enough, but I don't think I'm gonna have enough room to bend it and have room, so I need to get more of that. Try this all again. Well, here are all the parts we need to throw this guy all back together. I finally got this little nipple here to go into the end of this. So got that. Got the old 567. Just dab a little bit of that on the threads. It's gonna replace this whole 90 here with the brake switch. I have that new brake switch, and then this new braided line is gonna screw right into it and we'll be dialed. Can bleed that guy. Finish bleeding the fronts. Again, the fronts are working, but they're a little spongy still. And I'll have the brakes dialed. As far as the breather, we're still kind of coming up with some different stuff for the breather. I'm thinking I might get rid of this NPT to dash 6 flare, 90 here. Drill and tap this case to accept just a banjo bolt and run a banjo, because I'll be able to get that 90 much tighter with a banjo. It'll give us more room to sweep. Well, we got this set up all together. All right, we just took the Supermoto for a quick rip around the neighborhood, did some wheelies, burnouts, all the fun stuff. It desperately needs a wash. The road grime gets gnarly on this thing, but it's been needing an oil change. I was wanting to do it the other night, so we're gonna, since we got it all warmed up, change the motor oil. We're gonna put diesel oil in it since this thing's always revving extremely high. Skid plates suck. Absolutely suck. I'm not gonna sit here and take off the 100 bolts to get this one off, so this is usually how I change it. Just let it all pour into the skid plate and then degrease and power wash the piss out of it after. So the tranny was pretty gray and the motor's pretty black. That's not too bad. I probably changed the motor oil not long ago, I'm thinking. I can't remember. I go on like weird little tangents of riding this thing like every single day, and then I won't for a while. Like, I've kind of been riding it to school the last couple weeks, even though it's freezing cold out. I took it for a spin last night. So yeah, I don't know. Just kind of depends. I'll go on a run for a while of riding. This thing needs a new set of plastic. I think I need to start changing it up, but I dropped it a while ago, so it's scuffed. I snapped the back fender off, so it's a new back fender. Taillight's not wired in. But yeah, some scrapes and gouges in it. This thing's probably had, I don't know, way too many back fenders to count. A handful of mufflers. It's been looped a few times, but I'd rather loop this than loop that.